we have a monthly report to go over. Kind of our favorite part of the month. Well, unusual months. October was a special one. Let's start though. AI features are our first area. No AI content this month, but we have really good news in AI features. Last month, AI features focused on bringing AI combat functionality from Squadron 42 to the PU for the Alpha 3.22 release. The first line, praise be. Have you guys seen how the AI works? I'm not going to say it's award-winning. It's not the best AI in the world, but it does stuff. This involved introducing Squadron 42's accuracy calculation, perception reactions, ammo management, hazard avoidance, medic behaviors, and combat tactics. So all of those things we've been seeing since CitizenCon last year and prior, of AI helping each other up, healing each other, getting ammo, grabbing weapons. We've seen that a little bit in the PU, but it's coming in fully now, and until server meshing is in a good place, it's still not going to be the best. But when you do get on a server where there's not that many people and you're kind of running things at like a higher FPS, like 20 frames per second on the server, that's going to be a brand new experience. So yeah, that's going to be good. They said, we're really looking forward to you getting your hands on the updated AI combat and providing us feedback on it. Can't wait to see it. 3.22 sounds like a pretty cool update. I didn't think we were going to get one. I thought 321.1 would be December. I'm actually kind of surprised to see them trying to get 322 in, and with some pretty interesting features. Continuing on, the team also ramped up bug fixing, which included improving firing validation to allow multiple observable points. This allows NPCs to fire at the player if they're behind chest-high cover. Before, they would only validate towards the aiming position, but not extend to the first visible observable position that validates successfully. So they would just like walk behind a little fence and not shoot you? I don't even think I ever noticed that. Issues with AI not reloading in cover, medic AI not correctly aligning with characters when healing, and AI not shooting while strafing were also fixed, along with a crash caused by navigation link raycasts. Medic AI not correctly aligning with characters when healing? I guess they mean with other AI. A new structure for AI combat dialogue in Wildlands was implemented, and the flow of first reactions before combat when standing in a usable was closed off. The team continued to polish the retargeted animations for Pyro's female combatants and civilians too. More of like the kind of general AI stuff we hear about. Overall, the most important part was that first point. The Squadron 42 AI is coming over to the PU. That's going to get things a lot more exciting when we're doing group FPS stuff. AI Tech in October. The AI Tech team continued work on the Boyd system and Apollo subsumption tool alongside optimizations and improvements for the wider PU, Pyro, and CitizenCon. We obviously saw that. For the Boyd system, they began by fixing issues related to spawning and unspawning and moving properties for agents. They then iterated on and improved the rules for flying groups and updated the separation rule for a better rapport between distance better rapport between distance and strength in relation to other agents. Functionality for adjusting position during animation transitions was also added, so that, for example, landing animations appear smoother. That's for Boyds though. I don't wait, is this for landing animations for Boyds? Is that what I'm reading about? In my head I'm like, oh cool, NPC pilots, AI pilots are gonna land smoother. No, I think this is literally for birds. The logic for spawning agents on navigation mesh was updated too. The next step for Boyds is to iterate on death states and how they transition into ragdoll. Freaking Boyd death states. Oh man. Monthly reports, they have the comedy gold. October saw the Apollo subsumption tool receive numerous improvements alongside bug fixing. For example, new functionalities were implemented to allow conversion between conversation activity and secondary conversation activity. The team also updated the sorting functionality for variables to allow manual reordering and refactored variable data to use less memory. Cheers to things that I don't really understand all that much, but we know what Apollo subsumption is. I won't show you. I do it every single month, but it is what drives AI forward. So anything that happens in the game to you is a lot of the times driven by subsumption. Several AI systems were updated too. For collision avoidance, the team improved how they changed collision resolution mode between NPCs standing, moving, and sitting in a vehicle, or standing on a chair. They also updated collision avoidance logic for cases when NPCs are part of the conversation, so that when computing nearby agents and obstacles, they can also account for conversation members and ignore them. Wait. They also updated collision avoidance logic for cases when NPCs are part of a conversation, so that when computing nearby agents and obstacles, they can also account for conversation members and ignore them. Is this talking about like when NPCs are talking and walking so they don't just run into each other? That's a little bit of a confusing sentence to me. I don't know who the they is at the end. They can also account for conversation members and ignore them. Are they talking about the NPCs that are part of the conversation or the nearby agents? On the behavior side, multiple improvements and integrations were completed for both ship AI and NPCs to add the same functionality from Squadron 42. AI Tech also continued the process of adding navigation anchors to more of their systems, which allows them to be more efficient in calculating and keeping track of where a position is on the nav mesh. Last month, the navigation anchors were added to the Pathfinder and the movement system component. Okay. I'd like to move on to things I understand more, please. Various bugs were also fixed through October, including with how cover locations are calculated based on the simplified cover path. As the team found a bug in the calculation, As a team found a bug in the calculation that could have led to the creation of unnecessary cover and therefore excessive memory usage. I get memory leaks with Star Citizen, so I get super happy when I hear that they're covering things that might be leading to memory usage, because it gets, when you start to, the game starts to chug and hitch every 10 seconds or every 1 second, it gets awful. So you're talking about memory usage. They also fixed a scenario where planetary navigation mesh tiles were created and wrongly destroyed, even though there were still NPCs around the area. We don't want that. Honestly, we don't get enough planetary navigation from NPCs yet. It sounds like there's a lot more in Pyro though, which is nice. The animation team spent the month delivering facial animations for combat AI, including female combatants and various background characters. They also planned out the required actions for some new creatures. All right. Did they not upload the Star Engine trailer that they did? Is it just the panel? Why you do this, CIG?
Welcome to the
Why wouldn't they upload the Star Engine trailer onto their YouTube? What I'm trying to find are some of them aminals. Because they dropped some little things on us like this, right? The whale. So this is not in game, obviously, but they've teased this like 3 times now, and they covered it in ISC a while ago, and they've talked about it on several monthly reports, and I'm thinking it does exist, it does work, and it can run in the engine. And the only thing that it's been waiting for is the ability to run better AI in the game. So when they talk about this stuff, what was it that they even mentioned? In the animations, I mean, this might not even be for the whale they're talking about. They might be talking about the cow. Either way, when they talk about it, I believe that these things are working, that they actually have this. Confirmed, you can land on them, and there will be little harvestable things that you can pick up with your multi-tool. Oh, and they're so pretty. So yeah, totally a thing. You'll be able to land on them and ride them and just soar off into the distance on your own space whale. So we've got a couple of concepts. This is not a confirmed one, but it is one that they were looking into pretty heavily. We've got the Pyro Whip Crab, which we will be finding. I think this is on Pyro 2, I believe. And we've got the Boreal Stalker, which I've got here somewhere. Yeah, this thing's going to mess you up. And it's got little babies you can see down here. So like, these are the normal sized ones. This thing, that's too big. They actually teased one of these in a video when they were first teasing Pyro. It's very subtle. Here's some more concepts that they were going over. I will show you where this concept led. Oh, there it is. Boreal Stalker, where that concept went. And this will be on Microtech. So we've got the Pyro Whip Crab, the Boreal Stalker, the something Grazer, I think it's called. Where is that thing? Where's my dang cow? Where's the cow? I just had it. It was just here. You got the Space Whale and the Wompa, which I'm sure everybody believes does the whole blue milk thing. I can't find a... There we go. Space Cow. Okay. There are our 4 fauna that are confirmed so far. The Stormwall on Crusader. The Quasi Grazer. I don't even know where this would be. It looked like Microtech. The Boreal Stalker on Microtech. And the Pyro Whip Crab in Pyro. That's what we've got confirmed so far. But they have shown other concepts. There's a freaking divergence, huh? Let's get back on topic. Back to the art section. With characters in October, the character art team began working on a racing flight suit and his helmet, started new creature models, there's creatures again, and prepared for CitizenCon. Alongside this, the character concept art team further explored ideas for fauna and medical outfits. You know what? Honestly, I'm about to quit this monthly report. They've made me go over art for the Headhunters and the Dusters for like 5 months, every month, without giving us any sort of graphics or footage to use to talk about it. Now we finally have the footage, and where is it? It's not on here, so we can't go over it. I mean, I get it. They finished it, and that's why we got it presented. But still, I'm going over it anyways. Maybe I can at least relate it back to this. Character concept team working on medical outfits and fauna. Yeah, I don't think I can relate that back to this. I don't even think they showed off any sort of medical outfits. The only medical outfits I can think they might have shown so far would be the, here we go.
Call your doorbell camera company and cancel the subscription.
Hey, I appreciate you trucking through it. Come on, I'm not alone. I think we got some archetypes here. They did some discussion on this.
And then you look on the other side of the road, that you're looking at, say, the utilitarian. Now, utilitarian adventurer, that's kind of like best-in-class climate control. So if you're going into these harsh environments that's extreme cold, extreme heat, or you're going into these, really where it's got acid rain, that's when you want this pillar. And this pillar also includes where it's got like best-in-class inventory. So if you're going down mining and you want to say, I want to do one trip, I want to get everything while I'm there, you're still going to be combat worthy. You're still going to be able to compete in combat, but you're giving up some things to get other benefits.
Shooty stuff, but I want to move on to the next important thing, which excites me, is the utilitarian play style. So these are some new concepts that we haven't shown yet. So this is the first time you guys are seeing some of these. If you look to the very left, there's something, it's a utilitarian support class. So as you can see in the back, it's got a little bit of backpacks, so we have more consumables, more utility slots. So these, you would expect to see these guys in battle, but then I would probably see them behind, supporting your teammates, right? So you'd have your assault guy running around, and this guy will be like, hey, you need some grenades, bro? Or like, you need some magazines, bro? But like we wanted to diversify the play style. So no longer will you, in the future, be wearing, I want to wear the CDS armor.
Okay, I'm getting a little bit off track here, but you guys want to see how crazy they're getting? This is, just for context, I realize I kind of dropped this on you guys. This is CitizenCon 4 years ago. This is 2019. And a lot of things have changed since then, but one of the things that really proved true with this CitizenCon was that the things they were talking about then are happening now. And all the stuff that they were saying back then, it didn't really show up, but they're proving that they're sticking to it. So I think this kind of stuff is still going to be important considering where we're headed, especially with armor. So I just want to take this opportunity to introduce you guys to kind of how modular the effects of armor are going to be and the armor itself. I'll let this run for a couple of minutes and then we'll get back to things.
Temperature, bosh. We wanted to take into account, well, actually, the human body is it's all split up into lots of different scenarios. And so, the body has a higher surface area, and, it has a high density of blood vessels underneath the skin, and, the head's got a high density of that. So in terms of heat loss or heat gain, these different body types or should I say, these different areas on the body lose and gain heat at different rates. So if you've got something on your torso, that's going to give you a greater benefit than, say, for example, if you just put gloves on. And so that's when we've got some examples here. So if you've got, say, the guy on the left who's basically just, naked, his threshold is like, okay, if it's minimum 4 degrees, maximum 35 degrees, you know what? He'd be okay. But then you see the guy in the second right, he's put basically a jumper on, a coat. And that coat is basically giving him, it's pushing that threshold down. So that threshold now, as you can see, is -5 to 28. But because that's such a large surface area on the body, that's actually giving him a greater benefit than if he'd just put on shoes or a hat. And then you can see the guy in the middle, he's got full clothes on. So he's got shoes, he's got trousers, he's got a hat and gloves. And all of that is basically working towards saying, okay, this is the operating temperature. So when you actually go into these environments and your HUD is going to say, okay, or when you're looking at the star map, say, okay, what is the temperature in these planets? Is it day? Is it night? Where am I going? You have to choose which kind of clothing that you want to go for. And when you look at armor...
And so they started doing this a couple years ago, and it now happens. It's definitely a thing, and... it's not super extreme, but they're only going to continue to dip deeper into that. And I thought they went over medical gear here. But I may have been wrong. Thought there was some medical armor somewhere in here. But can't find it. That being said, they did release some info about armor at the recent CitizenCon. Let's check that out real quick. It's like RimWorld clothing mechanics. Yeah, this is stuff that's done in other games. I don't think it's too crazy. It reminds me of other mechanics. Games like DayZ really focus on this kind of modular survival idea. Where was the mention of armor types? Is this it? I know it was Ian that was presenting. Yeah, here we go. All right, let's listen to what they were saying here about armor.
Armor progresses in strength. It's harder to acquire. So harder missions, rarer drops, higher reputation. Now, as we're talking a little bit about armor sets, let's recap a little. So the goal is that players should consider which armor to equip based on the role they wish to fill and the scenario they're heading into. There will be also greater differences between the current armor types. So light, medium, and heavy, and this will be in protection and mobility. New armor categories will be combat, specialist, utility, and support.
So that kind of lines up with what we were just hearing.
And these will define the type of items that are quickly available on the slots of the suit. There will also be additional functionality.
That's enough about armor. We got super distracted here. So that's characters. Let's get on to ships, the good part. In ships, they also are a little bit light this year, or this month. In October, the Crusader A1 and C1 Spirit both reached the end of final art, while an all-new ship reached final art with its final reviews approaching soon. So, C1 and A1 Spirits, I have flown both of them. They are amazing. I love them. I really, really like the design and the space inside of them. I think we'll have to see spec-wise whether it lives up to its size and the kind of where it sits with all these other ships. I think there's going to be obvious reasons to take something like a Zeus over this or a Cutlass Black, but there are also good reasons to have this ship. Tractor beam's pretty solid. Yeah, I like the C1. The A1, you know, if you want to bomb stuff. I don't have much reason for that, but the C1 is it's a great daily driver. It's a good size, and you can carry 64 SCU in it. So I love it. And then you have the A1, which is more about exploding things. What do you guys even blow up? What are you bombing? Onward with ships. Some more ships. White box work for the RSI Polaris increased as more artists were freed up from other projects. Last month, the team focused on the habitation areas at the front of the ship, working their way back to ensure that everything is set up and ready for design to make a pass. The exterior white box is nearly finished, with elements like turrets in progress. So this is kind of crazy. They have the Polaris in the white box stage, and they have the Zeus in the white box stage, and they want both of those ships to come out around the end of next year. Like this time next year. That means that they are going to be working on that Polaris. We're going to be getting a lot of updates on the Polaris over the next year. And we'll have plenty of footage to put together a deep dive at the end of all of that. But to start it off, how about we take a look at what they've got on the Polaris? Because they did show us their current white box progress. And it's a fun video to watch. I've seen it multiple times and I'll still watch it because it's pretty hype. I don't want a Polaris. I don't care about them. But if I did, I would need new pants after this one.
And it's white.
It's in white. I mean, at least from what they said just now in the monthly report, it's finishing up white box. This thing is massive. Ba-boom, 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 ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-boom. I like it. I like it. I don't really care for combat, but man, big ships blowing up is so much fun. All right. So what did they even? Let me go back real quick and hear what he said
Torsten's
to say
already
about.
stolen the predictable joke here. So we'll do one last thing to show you guys. So let's have a look at the current state of the Polaris in engine in its white box state.
Yeah. So it's in white box, confirmed at CitizenCon and here in the monthly report that we were reading. Let me give you guys a quick look because somebody did ask. Simplified concept, white box, gray box, final. That's kind of it, but it's very complicated. I actually don't have an updated display of the pipeline, but I can show you a early version of the ship pipeline. I have some really interesting pictures in this folder. Check this one out. This one's from I think this is from 2018 maybe. This is Star Citizen products cycle. It was basically the idea that it was like, it was getting to, I don't know, it stagnated. I think this was during the Great Drought before 3.0 and it stagnated. And so they were saying like, oh, it's headed downhill. And now we're like 6 years later. I always come across that picture. Makes me giggle. Here we go. Okay. So this is the 2017 version of the ship pipeline. It has grown and transformed a lot since then. Well, maybe they'll show us, maybe they'll give us an idea, but I bet this is also kind of a valuable process to keep under wraps now. You know, like this stuff that other companies can start to use this to build similar games, right? So anyways, you can see that there's a lot of processes and a lot of people that are involved in each checkoff. Possibly too much. I don't know. I can't say. But there's a ton of reviews. There's concept phase, multiple passes on the concept phase. Then you go to white box. You got to do all the white box teams, go and get it approved and reviewed. Then you send it to gray box. After it gets to gray box, you start to model more specific things, chamfers, you know, your fillets, all those things. You get things really nice and modeled. And then it looks like there is a second part of white box for the larger ships. Again, this is probably largely expanded past what we're looking at right here, because this is 6 years old. And then you get to final art, going through the weekly meetings, going through all the passes, final art approval, and then it moves on to flight prep with all the LODs, damage states. Now we would see things like emergency lighting and sound effects and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot. This is a ton. It doesn't mean, no way. Dude, knowledge is really key. Like, protecting knowledge is a big part of all industries. Just the idea of a process can be valuable. There are videos on YouTube with millions of views that literally are just people laying out the process of how people make their videos. That stuff's valuable. You don't need an engine to gain a lot of value from seeing how to build a spaceship in a game. A lot of people are trying to do it and don't know how. Some people might say Starfield could have benefited from that. I bet Star Atlas has benefited from it. I would not doubt at all that Star Atlas has looked at CIG for some inspiration on how to build their ships and then went and poached some of their artists. The team also worked on changes to the Aegis Reclaimer to support structural salvage, including altering the claw and interior salvage stations. I'm surprised to see that structural salvage is coming in this year. I thought it was going to come earlier this year, and then we reached summertime when we saw that it was in prototyping phase, and I was like, okay, that's not happening this year. And then now it seems like it is. It was added to the roadmap recently. If you didn't see that, it's in here as salvage structural, implementing the ability to transform large chunks of metal salvaged from ships into refinable material. This will include the Vulture and Reclaimer. So this is like, you're not scraping off the outside of a ship anymore. You're literally going to take these ships and crush them into boxes of metal and sell it off. Man, that's what I thought I might do as a kid when I grew up. Then I realized I don't live in the future, but now I can play in the future, and I'm totally doing that. Allows players to pack smaller boxes in bigger boxes. This is also very cool. I'm so glad that this is something that they're specifically focusing on implementing, because it was going to be weird to try and make multiple delivery stops, you know, and like if you wanted to have a 32 SU box, but it was only half full with like grain, but it was taking up all that space, this will make that better. So yeah, structural salvage is coming into the game, which is really cool. Reclaimer and Vulture are going to be even more useful. A new variant mentioned in last month's report continued through Greybox, with all vehicle components being added. Once these geometry changes have been completed, it will receive a damage pass. First, I thought they were talking about the G12 here. Yeah, go on ahead with your whiskey. Have at it. Yeah. Now I'm thinking whatever that is that they're talking about is probably this guy. A new Ursa variant, right? That makes a lot more sense. Ursa variant would be easy for them to make. If they're going to tell us that it's coming in the next 12 months, it's probably coming pretty soon. So a new variant with vehicle components and geometry changes. I think there's a pretty good chance it's that Ursa. Finally, on the run-up to CitizenCon, the team completed a pass on the Crusader A2 Hercules to add relays for the Resource Network demo, as well as creating the relay asset itself. I haven't rewatched this demo, and I was actually in an interview for part of it, so I haven't seen the engineering demo fully myself, and I'm so excited to watch it with you guys. I'm thinking we'll do it sometime next week. Because this is gameplay I have been I've been anticipating, I've been covering, I've been waiting for years. And it makes a huge difference. It's interesting that they went with the A2 for this, though. So over the last year or two, they have been experimenting with this engineering gameplay. They've been using the Hammerhead, the Hull A, and the Crusader Ares. So for them to go and then use the A2 out of nowhere kind of makes me think that they used this demonstration as a chance to update the A2. And it's possible that they're starting to work through ships and get these relays in place, and they've already got those other ships that I mentioned figured out. I'm thinking they will also probably have any ship they've made over the last year and a half ready for relays to be put in. So, you know, don't base all of your judgments on it. I'm crossing my fingers with this, but I am hopeful that behind the scenes they are already updating ships for engineering, and it's not going to be a ton of lag starting to see that happening over the next year. But again, that's speculation. This is it's hopeful speculation. It's hopium, but we'll see what happens. From what I've seen, we still don't know a ton of stuff about like glitches and how often this kind of stuff would be happening, but it does sound like the gameplay is good, and there's a ton of possibility with this. I really want to be able to use this HUD. I keep seeing the new HUD, and I'm like, oh, I want it so bad. All right, let's get back to this. We were on art forever. Let's get to features. We're passing through community. We did CitizenCon and stuff. Let's do economy, yeah? In October, the economy team continued balancing the probability of commodities for Pyro and Stanton. Love having an economy team. Cool. I wonder if that'll be in 321.1. They also began reviewing and balancing the AUEC prices of vehicles, identifying various criteria to help inform how they should be priced to better reflect their current potential. This is like the first time we've ever heard about them talk about balancing the economy in terms of buy and sell prices for vehicles, I think, right? I don't think they've ever really talked straightforward about that, but they're basing the prices on current potential. So I wonder what my Terrapin is going to be priced at then. It also says potential. So I don't know what they mean by that, but it does mean that they're trying to set up ships and vehicles relative to each other so we can start to get an idea of where everything will sit long term in terms of pricing. Nope. Actually, we can't because this is current potential, so this doesn't really matter. They started balancing the prices of armor using an algorithmic approach based on information based from live game data. Okay, so they're balancing armor prices based on live game data. They're balancing ship prices based on ship potential. Vehicle and armor price balancing feeds into the team's goal to holistically balance effort versus reward across the game and provide other teams with guidelines on how to price items in the future. That's cool. It's very nice to hear that they are getting the economy into a serviceable state. Again, leading more towards kind of the people who are looking for a game that works more like a normal game. Economy also supported other teams on gameplay features, including the vehicle tractor beam, salvage contracts, and the profitability of loot found in vehicle wrecks. Additional support was provided for various events, including CitizenCon, the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, the F8C Hunt, and Day of the Vara. So they're stepping in and they're starting to make sure that things work correctly, which is nice. That'll be important, especially as they mentioned here, when we have another system to bounce supplies between. On to the engine section. The majority of the engine team's work last month involved preparing for CitizenCon. I believe that. There was so much engine. I loved that. I love that they opened the whole thing with the engine, and it was kind of like this. Here's what we've been working on. Now we get to the game stuff. That was great. All teams were hands on deck to deliver features and support other teams on work related to what we showed at CitizenCon. This is always an interesting time, as it is very stressful but also rewarding when everything comes together due to the focused effort. This was the first year that it felt like that. Really got me going, you know? They did a good job this year. Normally things kind of things have some struggles. Yep. Oh man, what was the there was a CitizenCon that started like 40 minutes late, an hour late because of technical difficulties. Like it was always something technical or like kind of just a guffaw of an announcement. This year it feels like they got it, you know, and that was good. The CoreEngine team primarily worked on bug fixes for the live release, including some long-standing memory leaks on the live server. Give me them memory leak fixes. Yes. Yeah. The physics team focused on delivering improvements to the Maelstrom destruction system and cloth and hair tech. Oh, we have something great for that. Where am I? Cloth and hair tech. Oh, the hair tech. The hair tech's dope. I actually, the most impressive hair demonstration that we saw wasn't even the hair tech demo, in my opinion. It was this.
I think their solar mass calculation.
The difference between Trejo before and Trejo after, I mean, I keep thinking, man, this really isn't coming up much in conversation, but then I look at the replay here on YouTube and you can see this is the most replayed part of the whole video. All of the Squadron 42 video, including the bagpipes. And this is the most replayed spot because this hair transformation is nuts.
The Galactopedia.
Yeah, probably, but I think their solar mass calculations are wrong though.
Like, what the heck, dude? What did they even do? It looks like an entirely different person. That's crazy. that's why, like, it looks like they made her out of wax. And then they were just like, wait a second. Hold on. Did we... Are you sure? Are you sure we made this right? So that's pretty nuts. But also, man, I really need to switch to my other account. The hair demo here is pretty good. This stuff is pretty impressive.
This was a very touching moment for me when I made this video. Thank you. Thank you.
Also a bit creepy. Just stroking the hair. Like, could they at least have just made it not have a face? And then they go over... Oh, that's the other panel that they go over that. Here's the damage system. Give you guys a look. They show it off a couple of times. This is the Maelstrom damage system. This is what a Gladius looks like when you're going to break it apart. Just to give you an idea of how insane this new damage system is.
One more video of Maelstrom before we continue.
So it's a full destructibility system. I mean, it's Battlefield Bad Company 2 status. It's kind of nuts. It works on... This is going to be applied to ships, vehicles, armor, weapons, all kinds of things. You can see it here in a firefight.
Barrels.
Man, that's just not very good cement. Y'all need to... Like, in the future, could we not make stronger cement? Just exploding? Again, though, the most exciting part for me when it comes to the Maelstrom system was, again, what I saw in the Squadron 42 demo. I loved this segment of the demo. I know some people didn't really like the FPS we saw from this, but I really enjoyed this part. And you can see some of the Maelstrom here while he's fighting.
But at the cost of ramping up your own emissions. We've also seen the introduction of our Maelstrom-powered destructible environment, which adds a layer of dynamism to the experience alongside our improved AI that can now have hundreds of combinations of traits that allow us to create unique and challenging combat encounters that really push your tactical awareness and skill.
Also, the music here is really cool. I love it. Joff did amazing with this music. Like, can't wait. Coolest subjective. That's why I said it was cool, not you. It's cool. So yeah, that was that's Maelstrom, and the hair Did they go over any of the other stuff? Maelstrom, cloth. Cloths! Let's check out cloth tech, man. What you got for me? What you got for me, cloth? Here's some wind demonstrations.
Really complicated
Exaggerated
assets, like
wind
the Duster
demonstrations.
and the one I want to show you now. So here you're seeing about 5 different layers of cloth going on and self-colliding between each other. It's reacting to the planet wind, which is always changing. On the front, there's a big leather apron. So this one's actually a lot heavier and it moves a lot differently than the cloth on the back.
I appreciate that. It's not perfect. Like, it needs some work, but I appreciate that there's different weights to the material. Never really thought I needed it, but sure. Give me leather.
Walking in.
Give me leather. And then the hair demonstration. Let me see if I can find like a good part for that. Yeah, here we go.
Reality for some of us and another reality for another one of us. There it is.
Oh, the Halo 5 trailer.
That's what I want my reality to be here. Something like this. I'm digging the Mohawk though for this one. He's got a bit of a Mr. T look to him. I kind of like this. Yeah, I pity the fool. All right.
Beards! Beards!
So it might go without saying that we've got beards now. So if you want to select a full beard, you can select a full beard. If you want just mutton chops, you got your mutton chops. You want your handlebar, you got your handlebar. All right. So we've got all the different beard types that you could want, and we're going to add as many as you guys really want. So I'm kind of digging the full beard for this guy.
Some Arthur Morgan beard.
Yeah, I'm digging the full beard for this guy.
And yes, I know Arthur
Even
Morgan
further
wasn't
to
the
that,
first person
we've
to
got
have a full beard.
Eyebrow selection, which is, I mean, you could go with no eyebrows. That's a very real. You could have bushy ones. You can have a little bit more, normal, kind of straightforward ones. But it was mentioned before during the hair and with Forrest's discussion that we've got the hair dye as well. So with the hair dye, you can affect all the hair at once. And
This
right
is
now,
dope.
I've got.
All right, so this is kind of funny because we were thinking about bleaching my hair this year. Now I'm just going to do it in here and see how it looks first. Because, oh, God. It's kind of a big step.
All selected, so I can go through the gamut of all the different hairs, melanin.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll add hair growth.
So here,
Dang,
I'm
this
just
it
gonna
looks
darken
good
it
though.
up a little bit. And
I
if
feel like
want to
character
guide the
creators
facial
always
hair,
look better than the
just guide
game,
the facial hair
so
itself.
I can't wait to see how these actually translate into the game. I know that they use these to make the NPCs, but I want to see how like my creation looks in the actual
jet
game.
black on this particular one. So I'm gonna frost these tips a little bit. I think that's gonna look kind of cool. Let's
Frosting
set
the
a bit of a
tips.
blonde here. Turn up the dye amount. And then what's really cool about this, and I'll show this in a minute, is that we can actually control the fall off of it. So again, if I just want this on the tips, I can just blend it right about here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's hair. We saw cloth and the damage system. Those are 3 of the big things they did for their engine updates at CitizenCon. But there's a whole panel, guys. I mean, we just watched some of it. If you haven't seen that yet, I would go check it out. What they have been building is impressive. Now they need to apply it to something fun, but what they have to show for it is pretty robust. All right, features. Oh, let's get crunchy. This is the good stuff. October saw the Arena Commander feature team finishing support for Alpha 3.21. They also supported several things shown at CitizenCon and continue to polish various features. Thanks, guys. The engineering team primarily focused on the development of multi-crew gameplay and spawn locations, adding features such as locking and unlocking vehicles for spawning and seat selection within vehicles. This is a huge back-end addition to Arena Commander. Honestly, the Arena Commander changes are good. They're in the game, they're working. It's still kind of rough, but it's working, and it's made the gameplay a lot better. Multi-crew support, though. That's when I'm going to really start using it. Multi-crew support means you can get in there and start running like hammerhead fighting scenarios. The stuff that we try to set up in the PU that nobody wants to do because it takes 30 minutes to set up and 2 minutes to ruin. You can now do it in the Arena Commander when we get multi-crew support. And then they're going to add engineering gameplay too. So you're going to be able to run a full capital ship battle scenario in Arena Commander before you can do it in the PU. I love what they're doing with Arena Commander. This is cool. Another primary focus was on custom matches. The team connected the remaining service code to the game code and began adding the final hooks into the UI. Utilizing the new custom lobby UI created by design. I read that terribly, but I'm not going to go back and fix it. I'm sorry. They also created a new game mode featuring master modes and added various quality of life improvements and bug fixes for Alpha 3.22, including a rework of the friendly fire system. Can I propose something? I'm just thinking, custom matches. What if, this is a huge what if, all right? Don't make fun of me. This is a huge if. What if CIG was able to like capture the original magic of Halo 2 custom matches in space game form? Like, what if they had a custom match directory and were able to foster the kind of creativity that Halo 2 and Halo 3 had in their custom matches, and we got to just do weird closed server shenanigans in spaceships. Imagine. Everybody with me, in all caps, imagine with me. Imagine. That would be so sick though. Like if they doubled down on custom games, you could literally set up a custom match that ran like Among Us, right? With engineering gameplay, you could set up the custom rules, the spawn rules, animations, like and all the kind of stuff depending on how far they let us get into it. You could just set up an Among Us server and do stuff like you could set up a spaceship that replicates the first mission on Halo Combat Evolved, Pillar of Autumn. They just dropped a javelin in there instead of the pillar, and you have to fight through it against a bunch of aliens. I don't know. I'm just thinking like the possibilities for if they did say, we're going to let you do private servers, we're going to let you do modding, and we're going to limit it to Arena Commander servers with a custom match directory. There's so much freaking potential. All right, so the team also enabled the award service in the PU, which was most recently used for the Anvil F8C Hunt and the 999th Test Squadron badge reward. Finally, for engineering, work was completed on the Solar Flare Hazard, which was featured in the Pyro Playground at CitizenCon. You guys like that Solar Flare Hazard? Another pass over all of Star Citizen's vehicles was done, which involved hooking up seats and tags with the information needed to enable multi-crew gameplay. For example, they updated scoring to account for multi-crew and better defined ship classes to include some that weren't previously featured due to requiring a crew to work as intended. A successful go, no-go was also achieved for various game modes and locations coming in Alpha 3.22. So, clearly, we don't have everything on the release view. They've only dropped one thing on the release view so far, but we definitely have some stuff that's trying to get in for Arena Commander, so we'll keep an eye out for that. Alright, so gameplay. Last month, the feature team made significant progress on engineering gameplay, including the UI. Yay! They also progressed with structural salvage and are currently in the final phase of their vehicle tractor beam work. That's like, for a 2-sentence part of report for the gameplay team, this is a whole bunch of really cool stuff. Engineering, structural salvage, and vehicle tractor beams are like all kind of big career-wise. Features on the mission side. Mission features. Our boy Elliot Kwaku. My man, I'm so sad he didn't get to go to CitizenCon. I wanted to meet him, but this is his neck of the woods, and I'm super excited for this stuff. Mission features work on data heist intensified. It intensified. The mission making it past its third gate review and entering the QATR stage. QA are currently testing the mission alongside a dedicated designer who is fixing bugs as they're found. The mission received its narrative pass too, so all the text is now complete, while various UI screens were brought up to the desired quality. An interesting addition has been new dialogue SFX, which the servers play to give players important feedback of their current cooling states. We talked about this on the Citizen Central podcast this week. It's a great one. Go check it out if you haven't. Had on Hybrid V Audio, Salty Mike, Ferrister, and Red Monster. And we talked about this mission. We talked about the fact that this is bringing in hacking without actually bringing in hacking. And it makes sense that this is coming in as a module and hacking can be added just plugged into this whenever they have it working. But it is, I just find it strange that it is coming in now when hacking is such like a questionable thing for next year. Like you'd think they would hold off on it, but I'm guessing this is something that they wanted to have in. They got to a certain state and they just continued working on it maybe and said, you know what? This is at a good place. It's going to be a good mission. We've got everything ready for this. So let's do it and we'll plug in hacking later. So that's cool. I'm excited to see how they can use this module in other places though. Improvements were made to the scenarios that occur when players are interdicted during the event, and important work on the event backend means it can now be scheduled better. So hopefully this will make that event a better option, and we'll have 4 solid events offering different experiences over the next year. Mission features worked alongside economy to more accurately balance the cargo manifest seen in salvage, bounty, and assassination missions to ensure they don't break the economy. This is what Johnny was talking about earlier. A great way to make money is to do bounties, and then go in and steal all their cargo, generally drugs, and sell it for millions in profit. They are worried about like making these mistakes. You don't have to worry about people getting a lot of, like, you can worry about people getting a lot of money, but don't freak out like they're not focusing on fixing that kind of stuff. The Steal and Recover Courier mission saw their first white box playthrough with the start to finish flow complete. The teams are now switching to the polish stage and building variants. Okay, cool. So these are the kind of cargo-focused courier missions. I wonder if these will replace our box delivery missions, or if they'll sit next to them. Let's see. The ship trespass feature passed its go, no-go, and was integrated for the next release. Wonder if that's 321.1 or 322. I think it's 321.1. The team are currently investigating non-violent means to remove trespassers from ships. Hey, restraints. Mission features continued their previously unrevealed work supporting Pyro, including new bombing run and destroy vehicle missions. Ooh. Hey. Too bad this is supporting Pyro. Can you support Stanton? These use a variant of the destroy item module used in the destroy drugs mission. Ah, modules, love it. The team also began setting up and implementing the Squadron 42 AI trait system shown at CitizenCon. So we got bomb missions. We're actually going to have bombing missions. That's nice. People with bombers will actually have things to bomb. Good for you. The updated Siege of Orison global event and new Babbage's new player experience are currently going through the QATR and final polish stages. Designs for the future content also progressed. So this I've heard is good. Again, Elliot said that the Siege of Orison update is pretty solid. We will be doing that here on stream whenever that happens. I'm thinking it's 322. Maybe they'll slide it in for 321.1, but I kind of doubt it. Use a variant, blah, 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 blah. Features on the vehicle side. In October, the vehicle gameplay team focused on bug fixing and quality of life improvements for Alpha 321 and CitizenCon. They also improved the handling of ground vehicles across different terrains to make them more predictable and tweaked various other ship systems to improve gameplay balance. We saw how that STV was performing. The ground vehicles still need more work, I think. A tuning pass began for various upcoming ships and vehicles too. Cool. Graphics, VFX programming, and Planet Tech. For the graphics, Planet Tech, and VFX programming teams, the majority of October was spent polishing the many features demonstrated at CitizenCon, including the water simulation, global illumination, maelstrom, fire, and rifle scopes. And oh my gosh, every single one of those things was better than I expected. Wait, let me just go back and confirm that is true. Okay, global illumination was pretty cool. That's about what I expected. Every other thing here. Okay, fire also. I did expect that from fire. But everything else was more than I expected. We've always complained about the rifle scopes especially, and I was really, really excited to see that they had covered that. We also got like this kind of stuff. They're not even going over this kind of stuff. Oops. Check this out.
Taking us from this to this.
This isn't even what I want to show you.
But it's not just about feeling powerful. Changes in audio can create a sense of danger, of being out on your own and under threat. Here's an example of ship combat. Sounds good, but what if we wanted a little more realism? The audio propagation tech that we've been rolling out makes it easier to change the soundscape in real time, and a nice use of that technology is to provide a more realistic option. Here, your own weapons resonate through the hull of the ship, only what's in the pressurized cockpit is heard clearly, and the threat level feels higher due to the isolating lack of enemy weapon and ship audio. Making these changes creates space in the audio, both spectrally and temporally, making impacts seem bigger, more damaging, more of a problem for the player. This realistic mode isn't limited to the flight experience, it's applied appropriately to the game as a whole. Here's an FPS battle in a depressurized area. With
So
realistic mode,
these changes are pretty cool, and again, these are just some of the engine things that they showed off. We also have ray tracing, which they are going to be doing with the Vulkan API is now allowing for. So here are some looks at the stuff they're doing with ray tracing and how that is improving the visuals of the game. Again, people will continue to say things like Star Citizen is outdated graphically. Star Citizen is going to get outdated when it launches. Folks, there's a reason they built this engine. It's so they could do this stuff.
Bouncing up there. And then we add a screen space occlusion pass just to tidy up the edges on things. And there is the final composite. Next. So, what else does it do? Well, because it's real-time generation, it means we can do a real-time bounce, and we can do that with quite small areas. You can get like a really vibrant bounce that picks up off small objects in the scene. Ooh. And that means that the art team can really lean into like strong local variation on color. As again, we will see. So we'll do a side-by-side comparison on this one. As you can already see, like the spotlight's really like throwing stuff into the scene. This is just one light in the room. And we did have live updating, as you can see in the old system, but it was designed for like time of day changes rather than this continuous smooth view.
I actually missed that when he said that the first time. Y'all have seen this, right? When you're like sitting in the asteroid belt and you're looking at the asteroids and the sun sort of click, click. Like it doesn't actually smoothly move the sunlight. It updates, like he said, for the time of day. I'm hoping that means that with global illumination, we're going to get real-time sunlight across the entire star system. Right? That means that all of the shadows are going to move realistically across all of the terrain based on a single light source at the beginning. Dude, that's nuts. That's going to be crazy if that actually works like that.
And finally, it means that we can do things like glowing surfaces can just illuminate the world without having to add special lights to fake it.
Oh, God. I really need to get off of this account. Why am I watching this stuff on here? Hold on a second, guys. Sorry. Just going to show you some more of this ray tracing real quick. They've got some really good examples here. This is a cool one.
At the moment we capture that cockpit probe in a going to get the sometime. Oh yeah, so this is the old system. The sun's working, but you can see there's no sky, there's no ground lighting.
Doesn't require ray tracing, Scott. I just wondering if it'll make it easy to do.
And then in the new one, you can already see the skylight is kind of helping a little, but then as you turn over, you get all the ground lighting.
Obviously, it wouldn't be required to do if they could already do it in real time. But real-time ray tracing seems like it's probably a more easy plug-and-play solution than what they were doing.
That in where the ray tracing would be.
So here's another example they had.
It's overly lit, let's be honest.
This is showing actually they have hardware ray tracing static ray tracing or static environment probes, they also have their own software solution they're working on for people who don't have the graphics cards that can do this kind of stuff, which I think is nice.
And now this is what Star Citizen would have looked like if we released it on the PS1. The sharp-eyed among you may have noticed also the ship is missing, but you know, we can't do dynamic objects in this. You'll be surprised. It doesn't seem to mind. And there we have software GI in the middle, which is, yeah, like I say, it was using the same 25,000 probe system, but not having to use any kind of hardware ray tracing. As you can see, it's not a perfect match. It's not identical, but it's a lot more dynamic than the old system.
So yeah, there's some
Star
of the
Citizen is
stuff.
updating
Whoa, okay, let's not do that. So there is. Hold on a second, guys. I'm gonna put this over here as well, so we can easily find some videos when we need to. So yeah, there's a lot of engine stuff going on that's it's really improving the game, the looks and the way it works. Damage system, ray tracing. Oh, we didn't even look at fire. Hold on. Let's check out the fire feature real quick. I think that's what we opened with, yeah. This is going to be a big part of engineering, a big part of multi-crew gameplay, a big reason why big ships are not going to be super fun to run on your own if you're getting into combat and stuff.
So to finish, we're going to take a look at all of that put together in the game. Thank you. Thanks very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Cool. If you're, what is burning is generally, if you look around the sides of this ship, there are like a lot of cushions. But mostly it's going to be like the epoxy and the paints and the insulation and the stuff that's coating all of this. Generally, the steel's not melting. Although I guess steel can catch fire, right? If the fire gets hot enough, they were at what, 300 degrees Celsius? I don't know how hot it needs to be. They're hitting 319. I don't know how hot it needs to be for this stuff to burn, man. Okay, on to Interactables here. Last month, the Interactables team worked towards CitizenCon, producing assets included in the digital goodies pack. I haven't even looked at that yet. They are also supporting. They also supported the Nuke Underground facilities, pushing the boundaries to create new and interesting props, and working towards Pyro, helping to close out areas for dressing in multiple locations. Alongside CitizenCon, the lighting team worked to close out multiple locations across Pyro. Thanks, we love you, lighting. Appreciate it. Live Tools. They worked on new features in support of CitizenCon and server meshing demo. Tasks also began to improve the usability of tools within the Network Operations Center. This is progressing well, and new modules are currently being designed for future implementation. Thank you. Locations in the EU. Last month, the locations team progressed with Pyro's rundown stations and added improvements to New Babbage. I wonder why they ended up going with, they call them ruined stations, they call them rundown stations sometimes. Throws me off. Alright, continuing on locations, the Sandbox team continued to work on Pyro's settlements and the new underground facilities, which I think is what they're calling these distribution centers. Alongside this, the Organics team worked on planets and some smaller features for Pyro. No, tell us what smaller features is. Don't just call it smaller features. October saw a flurry of activity for the Narrative team as they worked towards finalizing content for CitizenCon. While Narrative didn't have a presentation at this year's show, they supported other teams and worked hard to get content polished and ready for Pyro's showcase, which featured numerous new missions from brand new factions. Can confirm new missions and new factions do exist in Pyro. There is content that is explicitly different from Stanton. You can't do it in Stanton. The Narrative design team spent time polishing AI behaviors in the system to ensure its NPC population has the right look and feel. Additionally, they joined in on internal Pyro playtests, where they helped spot and address last-minute bug fixes. The team also supported the release of Alpha 3.20 with new missions, items, and locations. They also published some stuff on Narrative pieces last year. Alright, R&D team. In October, time was dedicated to cloud shaping improvements for use in Alpha 3.21 and beyond, which will allow the team to author more varied cloud content. For example, it is now easier to break up cloud fronts. The improvements also provide more flexibility in blending shape noise at height. As a result, the consistency of short versus long distance reads has improved and tiling from orbit is less noticeable. That was a very recent criticism. More improvements are planned, particularly with regards to improving detail at cloud fringes. The cloud advancements that they've done are great, but we're still not quite at that level that they were at CitizenCon 2021, I think it was, where you had your cloud sandwich, you had multiple layers, you had storms going on. They've got work to do, but they're getting places. I'll show you guys. Here are some of the shots of cloud improvements that they've made over the last couple of months in the engine.
And in this video, we are showing all the features combined together. In addition, we made many improvements to cloud shaping to allow for more variation and details. The shape noise blending, a vertical variation, has been improved a lot.
The ground fog, it just looks so good. It adds so much more depth.
Also, we made improvements to short and long distance read, and the tiling is less visible.
So he's literally saying what they're saying in the monthly reports. So this is the video version of what we just read. And really look at, like, up here. You can see those sort of artifacts you always see in the clouds here that they're like flickering. Watch what happens when it improves. No more flickering. Like, they really were able to eliminate that problem that we see. Jesus, and then the light shafts. This one is great too. That's just absurd. That's, I think, the best example of it. Look at how many artifacts there are going on with the clouds here. Whatever they did, I mean, it's insane. It's night and day. Hold on. Go back. Go back a little bit. Can we get like a half split here? Yeah, you can still see it a little. It's still there to some extent. But like the left side of the screen versus the right side of the screen is... I mean, just look at that. The difference between this right here and this over here is nuts. That's great work.
And best of all, we're going to include all these new features and improvements in the next 3.22 release. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
So, yeah, that's what we're reading here in R&D. It's interesting to see that R&D stuff can come into the next patch. Like, I would think R&D means it's a ways out, but apparently, y'all are forward thinking. Yeah, so 3.22 in December, I think he said, did he say next patch or did he say Q4?
all, we're going to include all these new features and improvements in the next 3.22 release.
Yeah, so he says 322. Back to R&D, the first iteration of ground fog was also made available to the content teams, we just saw that, which follows terrain up to a specified height per location and fully integrates into the atmosphere. As a result, it receives volumetric shadows from both clouds and terrain, along with dampening direct and indirect light scattered through the atmosphere into the view ray. Can't wait until we have a place that has fog that's so dense that it actually like darkens, like at least a low-lying level of clouds. What I can't wait for, and I feel like I've never experienced this in a game, is where I can be above the clouds and see how sunny and nice it is, and then also go below the clouds of the fog and it's dark and it's dirty. That always amazes me when I do that, like taking off from a plane on from an airport, and it's like just miserable down at the airport, and then you get up, you go above the clouds, and it's super clean and nice. I want to experience that in Star Citizen, and I want to run a mission down there, and then run that mission for 30 minutes, get in my ship, and fly back out and be like, oh yeah, it's actually a nice day. Because I feel like that's just really novel. Alright, moreover, support was added to cast volumetric shadows from clouds into the atmosphere. This includes various optimizations to sample and evaluate volumetric cloud shadows. As a byproduct, volumetric cloud shadows now also update lazily to further reduce cost when the camera or sun isn't moving around significantly. Cloud shadow quality at low sun angles was also improved by compressing the available space in the shadow map to allow for more details around the camera. Additionally, a few long-standing issues with cloud rendering have been fixed. For example, the ghost lines on clouds that were occasionally visible when looking at them and towards the virtual plane horizon were fixed. Oh, those were terrible. I hope they can fix that in the caves too. And the setup of LOD constants for cloud shaping related texture lookups was updated to avoid excessive blurring when rendering clouds at half resolution. Lastly, work on ground fog resulted in various optimizations as well as a fix for subsample sized holes in planet terrain height maps. These height maps are used for various purposes, such as building planet terrain shadows or spawning GPU particles on the ground. The latter was especially subject to those holes as they could cause infrequently erratic spawning of particles. Hate those spawned erratic particles, you know? They ruin a good Tuesday. Looking forward, work on the new temporal cloud render mode will commence in November. Cool. Last month, the VFX team completed their work on Pyro in preparation for Pyro transitioning into players' hands. Ho ho ho! Don't you love to hear a sentence like that? They also worked on the all-new water simulation and effects alongside the graphics team and provided VFX support for various other teams' CitizenCon presentations. Thank you, VFX. You did good. Overall, solid. Pretty cool. Good for them. I think this is it's definitely a smaller monthly report. We took plenty of time going over it. But it's a smaller monthly report. There's a lot of really, really good things in here, but it's not a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff that might be on pause. Bounty hunting specifically has not been mentioned here, which is interesting. I don't know what's going on with bounty hunting. That's weird. There are a few things that didn't get mentioned in this monthly report. Stuff that's being worked on, stuff that's probably on hold, but there's also really, really good things that got mentioned, and I think, again, setting us up for a really good 322 and an even better 2024.